What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back with another daily deck tech video. It is a beautiful sunny day here in northeast Iowa. I don't put in the comments if any of you have ever been to Iowa, the wonderful bland farmland paradise that it is. But we have another viewer request, and today's viewer request was for Witherbloom. And yes, I know I just did a Witherbloom for the main set stuff for Secrets of Strixhaven, but on this channel, we are community driven, so whenever I get a viewer request, I pretty much stop everything to do those viewer requests. I still have about 10 to do, so we're going to keep trudging along. I love viewer requests because it means that the channel is community driven. I love being able to help people, giving people an idea, but as always with my deck techs, they are a outline. Always feel free to tweak them, make them your own. People see things I miss, I see things that they might miss, and together we can make the best decks possible. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So this Witherbloom request was for a high bracket, so high power. Bracket 4 is where they wanted it to hang out at, and a bit of a higher budget. So we're coming in at 464. It is, you know, a thing. A lot of cards that go very well in Witherbloom are demanding a premium currently. So let's take a look at Witherbloom. Witherbloom here is, of course, a 5/5 for 8, but it doesn't really cost 8, and that is because it has Affinity for creatures. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control. It has flying, it has Death Touch, so it's nothing to balk at either when it comes to combat. And then its really scary ability is instants and sorcery spells you cast have Affinity for creatures. So we are going to play some very large bomb spells that are going to get very large because we're going to run a bunch of little dorks, ways to get a bunch of little tokens to make our X spells cost even better amounts of high value here. And so with this, it's going to get very scary very quickly. I will say that the deck is vulnerable to things like board wipes, so make sure that when you make your own custom build, you have that to bear in mind. So, how are we going to do this today? We have ourselves 22 creatures. As you can see here, the converted mana cost for our creatures here, if we go over them, we have one creature, Pitiless Plunder, sitting at 4, which is whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. This is a way to get some sort of value out of our creatures dying. But other than that, there is one 3-drop at Scoot Swarm, which, for those of you who don't know, it has landfall, and whenever a land enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 green insect, and if you have 6 or more lands, instead you create a copy of Scoot Swarm. This card is capable of making literally billions of Scoot Swarm tokens very quickly. We have our little 0-drops that I threw in here, Memnite, Ornithopter, and Phyrexian Walker. Our goal here is to maximize the amount of dudes that we are getting out as quickly as possible. And then we have just an obscene amount of mana dorkage, right? We have Arbor Elf, Badger Mole Cub I will count as a pseudo mana dork, right? It does Earthbend, so it turns a land into a 1/1, and then whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. So that land is then going to tap for an additional green, and all of your little mana dorks here who tap for mana are going to tap for an additional green. So your Birds of Paradise, your Boreal Druid, Devoted Druid, Elves of Deep Shadow, Elvish Mystic, Findhorn Elves, Llanowar Elves, Noxious Newt, all right? Priest of Titania, which taps to add a green for each elf. We have a bunch of elves in here, so she'll tap for at least 5 or 6, just based off of our dorks that we have in here. We have Springheart Nantuko, who, fun fact, if you put this on a land or any of your creatures, you can make extra creatures of it. If I put there is an infinite combo with this that I did not put into the deck. We have Ophiomancer in here to get you a snake every upkeep, which is another way of just getting generic value. You can also sub in one of your other creatures for the, I can't remember the exact name of it, but the Ophiomancer that makes a decayed zombie. We have Deathrite Shaman, who used to be referred to as the first 1-mana planeswalker, because it's a 1/2 for 1, and you can tap to exile a land card from a graveyard. A lot of people play fetch lands, so you can exile their fetch lands to add a mana. You can exile an instant or sorcery to have each opponent lose 2, and you can exile a creature from a graveyard to have yourself gain 2. So it's ping, utility for mana, and also life stabilization. And then we have Twitching Doll in here, who serves 2 functions, right? Twitching Doll has tap, add 1 mana of any color, put a nest counter on Twitching Doll. Not bad. And then you can tap and sacrifice Twitching Doll and create a 2/2 green spider creature token with reach for each counter on Twitching Doll, activate only as a sorcery. This is good because early on you're going to tap it, help cast your spells, and all the while it's building up these little insect counters, and then you're going to swarm spiders out there. We do have one new inclusion that I wanted to try in the deck, which is Studious First Year. It is a 1/1 for 1, so easy on the mana curve there. It enters prepared, and then that, since it is prepared, it allows you to play Rampant Growth to search for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. So those are our creatures. We do have Steve in here as well. Forgot to mention him. You sack him to search for a land. Now for our sorceries. As you can see, we have quite a few X casting cost spells. We'll get to those in a moment. But the other non-X spells we have in here is we have Biorhythm. Recently taken off of the ban list, Biorhythm is a sorcery for 6 generic and double green. Or if you have Witherbloom in play with even a paltry amount of dudes, it will make everything cost cheaper, and this could cost 2, right? Each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. Our goal is to have lots of tokens and lots of dudes on the battlefield. And even if you can't get Witherbloom in play, you can certainly cast Biorhythm so long as your Dorks still exist. For ramp, we do have Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, and Nature's Lore. We do have Night's Whisper for just a tiny amount of card draw. And we have Rise of the Dark Realms, which puts all creatures from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. This can get very disgusting very quickly. Also helps you recover your graveyard so long as somebody hasn't Bajuka bogged you. And, you know, then just makes things a pleasant day in the neighborhood for you and miserable for everybody else. Now for our X casting cost spells. We have Animus Awakening. You reveal the top X cards of your library, put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. It then has Spell Mastery, which is if there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, untap those lands. That should be very easy to do. We have Awaken the Woods, which is create X 1/1 green Forest Dryad land creature tokens. This card is incredibly strong. So not only will this help your affinity count, but also gives you lands, which then can allow you to do things like Genesis Wave to get a bunch of more stuff out there, which is reveal the top X cards of your library, put any number of permanent cards with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield, then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put into the battlefield into your graveyard. Pested Infestation, which I love this card to death. Destroy up to X target artifact or enchantments. Create twice X 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens that have, when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. So if somebody mass removals, you gain life for each of them. This card blows up artifacts and enchantments to set other people back, pop their mana rocks, things like that. And it gives you a bunch of little chump blockers. And then we have one of our big win conditions here. So Biorhythm is a win condition. It's through and through. Torment of Hailfire is another one. So it's X and double black. Repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent of their choice or discards a card. So this does lose some power if somebody is also running tokens. So if they have like 20 tokens, it's going to be hard to get above this, but then at very least it is a board wipe for them and probably kills the remainder of your opponents. But I have seen this even in a deck where I was not running Creature Affinity or anything like that, where this is getting extra value. I run it in my mono black Shieldred deck, and I've cast it for 18, and that's usually just enough by the time you cast it. For our instance, we are running Spider Fog. This gets us some tokens, which helps towards our affinity for creatures stuff. We have Assassin's Trophy, which destroys a permanent. You can blow up lands with this. That's important. That an opponent controls. Its controller searches for a basic land card and puts it onto the battlefield, then shuffles. I have had friends fail to find. So I've like popped their their Ancient Tomb, Gaia's Cradle, etc., and then they weren't able to find another card. We have Deadly Dispute, sack a creature, draw 2 cards, create a treasure token. This is easy when we're generating tokens. We have Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual, Culling the Weak. These are so if we don't hit a whole bunch of our creatures very early on, we can still power out our Witherbloom very fast. You can also use these to add some extra mana to getting value for when we cast an X casting cost spell in case we don't have all those creatures. We have Crop Rotation. So you can sacrifice a land to search for a land and put it onto the battlefield. We have Galadriel Ambush, which is like Spider Fog. It creates X 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens, where X is the number of attacking creatures, and then you prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by non-elf creatures. So it lets them block, and, then you have a bunch of extra stuff. We have Harrow, which is a ramp spell, sack a land, search for 2. Heroic Intervention, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. This card is absolutely vital in ensuring that if somebody plays a Wrath of God effect, it won't save you from Farewell, but a Wrath effect, that you will not lose your entire board state. Because losing your board state in this deck is going to be really, really rough. We have Putrefy. To destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. We have Tyvar's Last Stand, which is a targeted protection spell. Protect your Witherbloom. Even though Witherbloom actually isn't that bad to cast so long as you have a board. We have Village Rites, which is sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. And then we have Vitalizing Winds. I believe this is from Prophecy. And this is one of your win conditions. So it does cost 9, but it doesn't because of Witherbloom, right? And you're going to have a whole bunch of dudes out there. And so creatures you control get +7/+7 until end of turn. So say you have 15 creatures out there. This casts, they all get +7/+7. You're probably just going to kill everyone so long as they don't have blockers. And then we have our artifacts. I am running some mana rocks in this deck specifically just to help us get to the value that we want. Any extra mana sources that we can have are great, and they are a little less vulnerable than our creatures. So we are running Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Talisman of Resistance, and Golgari's Signet. For another one of our game changers, our third game changer here, we are running Bolas Citadel. Bolas Citadel is one of the cheap game changers. It's for 3 generic and triple black. You can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play the top card of your library, and if you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. This does not work with the X casting cost spells, so don't cast those. And then you can sacrifice 10 land permanents to have each opponent lose 10 life. Use this in conjunction with Scoot Swarm. And then we're trying a new card in here, Cauldron of Essence. This card's really cool. I opened a bunch of them in my boxes. And it is an artifact for 3 that says whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Pretty cool. So if they do board wipe you, it's going to punish your opponents. And then you can pay 3, sacrifice a creature, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So if you have some little pest token, sacrifice it to return one of your creatures from the graveyard to the battlefield. And that is a very strong ability when we have some better utility stuff that might have gone to the graveyard. We do have our Lightning Greaves and our Swiftfoot Boots to protect our Witherbloom, and we do have Skull Clamp to clamp tokens to generate card value. And then for our enchantments, we are only running 4. Awakening Zone, which puts a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token, sorry friends, my nose is like itching randomly, onto the battlefield, and you can sack that to add a colorless, but you just kind of want it to build up some tokens. We have Spelunking. When it enters, you draw a card. You can put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. We don't have caves in here, so don't worry about the cave part about gaining 4 life. And then lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. We also have Up the Beanstalk. This goes very well with that X casting cost spell we had before that reveals the top and puts lands into play. We have Up the Beanstalk, which is when it enters the battlefield, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. And then we have Growing Rites of Itlimoc, which when it comes into play, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, and then you can put a creature card from among them into your hand. And then if at the end of your turn, if you have 4 or more creatures, you flip it into a Gaia's Cradle. Lands, we are running a Vendo, which although our dudes are tiny, we have so many of them that crewing this should be pretty easy. Or stationing it, sorry. Which then when it's at station 12 plus, you can tap a green and tap it for each creature you control. Which is great. It's a pseudo Gaia's Cradle. I'm not putting a Gaia's Cradle in here and driving the budget up to $1,500 plus, right? So we're going with that. So this is our land base. Golgari Rot Farms in here, Twilight Mire, Lana War Waste, Woodland Cemetery, Command Tower. I already had a high enough amount of money sunk into the deck to put the Surveil land or the Shock land in there, or the Duel. So we didn't do that. Now, let us head ourselves over and let's do some playtesting, shall we? So we're going to go here and we'll zoom out a hair. There we go. We can see everything. This is a Night's Whisper down here. So our opening hand includes 2 mana dorks, a forest, a talisman, a cauldron of essence, a Night's Whisper. This is pretty good. So we're going to draw for our turn. We're going to, of course, play our forest. And we are going to go ahead and play an Elves of Deep Shadow. We're going to then have our next turn. We're going to play our swamp, right? This is pretty simple, pretty easy. And so what we're going to do here is I am going to tap this and tap this. I am going to play my Talisman of Resistance. I'm going to tap that for colorless and this for green. For my Arcane Signet, I'm going to tap my Arcane Signet for Elvish Mystic. Pretty good opening turns. On my next turn, I'm going to play a forest. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 technically available. So he is Witherbloom is going to cost currently 6 because these 2 creatures out there. We don't want to run him out that early though. So what we can do is we are going to do this. We're going to run out Cauldron of Essence. This is so if we do have our Witherbloom die on our next turn, we can sacrifice one of our elves to bring it back. Next turn, we draw Woodland Cemetery. So we're going to go here. 6 is what we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we cast Witherbloom. Pretty simple. Next turn, we draw. We put our land into play. So we don't have that many creatures, right? But we do have a whole bunch of stuff that we can do. So we have 3 creatures. So that's 3 towards this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can cast our Animus Awakening for 10, which reveals the top X cards of your library. Put all land cards from among them on the battlefield tapped. That's not bad. Not a terrible opening hand. And you can always sacrifice Night's Whisper to, or play Night's Whisper here for 1 mana to draw 2 cards. Those are options that we have here. So we have this. We have Heroic Intervention. Do our next turn. Nature's Lore. You can always search for lands. Let's try a new hand, shall we? We'll only do a couple of these today. So right away, we have a very strong hand. We're going to draw our first card. We are going to drop down Llanowar Waste and Soul Ring. That's pretty strong. Our next turn, we have a bunch of mana available. So what we're going to do is we are going to tap this and tap this for Badger Mole Cub. We have 1 colorless floating. So what we are going... And we are going to animate this. And so now we're going to tap for a black, taking 1. But this adds an extra green. So now we have 3. And we are going to run out Ophiomancer. And then we're going to add a token at the beginning of the next upkeep. Next turn, we're going to draw. We'll drop down a forest here. So right now, Witherbloom costs 8, 7, 6, 5. 4 costs 4. Pretty easy. What we are going to do is we're going to tap that for black. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we will run out Witherbloom. Just like that. And then on our turn, what we will do next turn is just, we're going to sit for right this second. Next turn, we draw. Now for this turn, what I want to do is I'm going to tap for black again. Ouch. We take a third. Life is a resource. We are going to sacrifice our snake. So snake goes to graveyard. Goodbye, snake. And that is going to have us play Deadly Dispute. We're going to create a treasure token. So there's our treasure. And we are going to, of course, draw 2 cards. Sweet. So we are going to play an Elves of Deep Shadow. There. And we have another black source now. This has Summoning Sickness, and we're going to add our snake token back. And we'll call that good. Our next turn, we draw, we play our Twilight Mire. So now we have a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to get a whole bunch of lands this turn off of Animus Awakening. Now, let's restart the game. We'll do one more, because it's fun. We're going to play Command Tower. We're going to play Fintorn Elves. I think I forgot to draw. Yes, I forgot to draw. Now we'll do next turn. We have Growing Rights of Itlimoc, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a Forest. And we are going to go ahead. We are going to go ahead and play Elves of Deep Shadow. And Badger Mole Cub. And we'll just go ahead and add a counter there. Next turn. We already have 4 creatures, so he already costs 4. We're going to play our swamp. Holy cow. We are going to tap our swamp for Dark Ritual to add 3. 3, and then we're going to tap for a green. There's our 4 for Witherbloom. Witherbloom's out, and then we can tap for 2 here to put our Swiftfoot Boots in play, and we'll just equip Swiftfoot Boots to our Witherbloom. Now we are online and ready to go. We have 4 creatures out here. I'm going to play Growing Rights of Itlimoc, which will let me look at the top 4 cards. I'm going to do it this way. So these are my top 4 cards. I can put a creature among them into my hand, and the rest on the bottom. What we're going to do is move to bottom of library, move to bottom of library. And then we are going to play an Up the Beanstalk. Then this is going to flip at the end of turn. We draw our card. We have Tyvar's Last Stand for protection. We're going to swing in. It's pretty simple, right? Like, we don't have an X casting cost spell, but we can swing in. We can swing in here, and let's say we want to do something busted. So then we tap this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, plus an additional 4. So 18. So this will be for 17. We'll give him plus 17 until end of turn. And someone died. That's how that goes. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you want to see your commander made into a deck tech, drop the commander in the comments down below with things like budget, theme, etc. As always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.